Welcome everybody to this meeting of the Standards Committee on Monday the 2nd of March. May I remind everyone present that this meeting is being broadcast live via YouTube and the recording will be archived for future viewing. Could all councillors and officers ensure that when they speak, they switch on their microphones, and when they are finished speaking, switch their microphones off. This is extremely important for the live stream to ensure that the cameras will be focused on the individual who is speaking. Please could we receive any apologies for absence?
Thank you, Chairman. We've received apologies from Councillor Beach and we have Councillor Mansfield who's joined us via Teams this evening.
Thank you. Do any councillors have any declarations of interest to declare on the items under discussion at this evening's meeting? No declarations of interest. I propose the approval of the public minutes from the previous meeting. Do I have a seconder? No. Councillor Locke, thank you. We will now go to the vote. For all those for, that's unanimous. Thank you. Are there any urgent business for consideration at this meeting?
Thank you, Chair. There's no urgent business for consideration.
Thank you. I now invite the Monitoring Officer to present his report.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, councillors, independent members and those present. So the purpose of this report is to provide an annual review of the discharging of the Monitoring Officer's role. The report is for noting, so no decision is required, but following today's Standards Committee consideration, it will make its way to full council on the 16th of March. So to give you an overview of what the report addresses when it goes to full council. The Monitoring Officer's statutory appointment under Section 5 of the Local Government Housing Act 1989. As the head of legal, I perform that role. And these duties are discharged in accordance with the legal requirements, government guidance and the Council's constitution. You will also see, everyone, that the report refers to the requirement under Section 5 of the 1989 Act to appoint a Deputy Monitoring Officer. And to this end, the Council has two, Mr Glenn McCusker and Mr Akil Adnan. In terms of our processes, we have arrangements in place through our Code of Conduct and Complaints process to respond to any breaches of standards, and those arrangements, I would say, are working satisfactorily at present. But in terms of standards matters, both myself and the Council's independent persons, when required, continue to give informal advice, and myself and the Council's Deputy Monitoring Officers undertake relevant inquiries into allegations of misconduct, and this extends to both borough and parish councillors. So the key figure is that since the last annual report in March 2025, there have been 2 standards complaints, which is quite significant in terms of the actual number. So that's a reduction again compared to last year, where we had 4 standards complaints. And those 2 standards complaints that we do have originated from our parish councils. So we remain at relatively low figures, so a steady decline. But there are matters which come across our desks alongside the formal complaints, but we don't count them as actual formal complaints because they don't reach that threshold of being caught by standards. So whilst we do give advice on the hoof and as we need to, not all of them result in a standards complaint. It's worth mentioning, councillors, that no standards hearings have taken place in the last year. So obviously we've had plenty of committee meetings, but no actual standards hearings, which is like a quasi-judicial hearing. It has been some time since we had one of them. And the 2 complaints that we do have are at the investigation stage and are being considered independent from the council. In terms of the Code of Conduct, the Localism Act 2011 requires the council and parish and town councils, for which it's responsible, to adopt the Code of Conduct. The Code of Conduct continues to function and work as required. All our borough councillors and parish councillors must adhere to it. Moreover, all of our borough councillors have completed their declarations of interests, and to confirm that there aren't any outstanding currently. In terms of our parish and town councillors, however, we are waiting on declarations from members of Kingstone Parish Council, Leigh Parish Council, Mayfield Parish Council, Roaster Parish Council and Yoxall Parish Council. So there's a few more parish councils on there than I would like as the MO, but we are I have written formally to them, and my colleagues in Democratic Services are going to be following that up as well. Briefly now, councillors, looking at the Constitution, you'll be aware that there are arrangements in place to review and monitor the Constitution. These changes take place through the year, but every December as well, when we do an annual review of the Constitution. The last review was completed in December 2025, and I suspect, as with every year, that we'll have further amendments mid-year that we need to carry out as well, but that's just part and parcel of a living and breathing document, so to speak. Now, in terms of RIPA, although not out-and-out standards, that stands for the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act. Now, the reason I mentioned it with the MO report is because our officers are legally required to do a lot of training on it. So rather than just do a single RIPA report on its own, I put it in with the MO report so we could give a bit more of an overview. But officers in December completed their training in December 2025. I was expecting an inspection to come around this year, but I've not received any communications from the relevant office. So officers, what I'm trying to say there is officers are fully trained and up to date. We thought we were due an inspection, but we've not heard anything further. And that concludes my report, Chair. I'm happy to take any questions. Councillors, again, the report's for noting before it goes on to full council. Thank you.
Any questions? No? Thank you for that. This report is to be noted. We have 2 items to consider in private, so I'll now move that in accordance with section 100A(4) of the Local Government Act 1972, the press and the public will be excluded from the remainder of the meeting, as it's likely, in view of the nature of the business to be transacted or the nature of the proceedings, that there would be disclosed exempt information, as defined in the paragraphs of Part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Act, indicated in brackets before each item number on the agenda. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Shrive, thank you. We will now go to the vote. All those for? Thank you. That's unanimous. And there's no abstentions.